In the name of Allah, who is most beneficent and merciful, my name is Habiba. I'm from Chemistry Department. My ID is 014. And today the topic of my presentation is Intermediate SQL. So there are different chapters of Intermediate SQL including we'll track the case. The second one is short and simple subqueries. Third one is about correlated subqueries, nested queries, and common table expressions. Last but not least chapter of this course is window functions. First of all, I'll tell you about the case. In this chapter, you will learn how to use the case one statement to create categorical variables, aggregate data into a single column with multiple filtering conditions, and how to calculate counts and percentages. Basic case statements. Create a case statement that identifies whether a match in Germany included different columns or neither as the home team. Group the query by the case statement, which is aliases by home team. Then case statements comparing column values. Select the date of the match and create a case statement to identify matches as home, wins, home, losses, or ties. Then case statements comparing two column values. Complete the case statement to identify different columns as wins, losses, or ties. Left join the team Spain table, team AP ID column on the matches Spain table, home team ID column. This retrieves the identity of the home team opponent. After that, simply filter the query according to your result. Then in case of rivalry, complete the first case statement identifying different columns using the home team ID column and then complete the second case statement in the same way using away team ID. Second most important chapter of this course is about short and simple subqueries. In this chapter, you will learn about subqueries in the select, from, and where clauses. You will gain an understanding of when subqueries are necessary to construct your dataset and where to best include them in your queries. Then filtering using scalar subqueries. Subqueries are incredibly powerful for performing complex filters and transformations. You can filter data based on single scalar values using a subquery in ways you cannot by using where statements or joins. Subqueries can also be used for more advanced manipulation of your dataset. You'll likely encounter subqueries in any real-world setting that uses relational databases. Then filtering using scalar subqueries. Calculate triple average home plus away goals scored across all matches. This will become your subquery in the next step. Note that this column doesn't have an alias, so it will be called like this in your results. Then filtering using a subquery with a list. So your goal in this exercise is to generate a list of teams that never played a game in their home city. Using a subquery, you will generate a list of unique home team ID values from the unfiltered match table to exclude in the team table's team AP ID column. Filtering using a subquery with a list. So create a subquery in the where clause that retrieves all unique home team ID values from the match table. Select the team long name and team short name from the team table. Then exclude all values from the subquery in the main query. Third most important chapter of this course is about correlated subqueries, nested queries, and common table expressions. In this chapter, you will learn how to use nested and correlated subqueries to extract more complex data from a relational database. You will also learn about common table expressions and how to best construct queries using multiple common table expressions. Then basic correlated subqueries. Correlated subqueries are subqueries that reference one or more columns in the main query, and these subqueries depend on the information in the main query to run and thus cannot be executed on their own. Basic correlated subqueries work just like this. Select the country ID and all other columns in the main query. Then complete the value in the subquery by inserting AVG. AVG is actually abbreviation of average and it is being used in place of average. Complete the subquery column references so that country ID is matched in the main and subquery. Then correlated subqueries with multiple conditions. So they are useful for matching data across multiple columns. In the previous exercises, we have generated a list of matches with extremely high scores for each country. Now in this exercise, we are going to add an additional column for matching. So nested subqueries can be either simple or correlated, just like an unnested subquery. A nested subquery's components can be executed independently of the outer query, while a correlated subquery requires both the outer and inner subquery to run and produce results. Fourth one is the last chapter of this course, which is window functions. You will learn about window functions and how to pass aggregate functions along a dataset. You will learn also about how to calculate running totals and partition averages. The partition by clause allows you to calculate separate windows based on the columns you want to divide your results. For example, you can create a single column that calculates an overall average of goals scored for each season. Partition by multiple columns. So partition by clause can be used to break out window averages by multiple data points. You can even calculate the information you want to use to partition your data. For example, you can calculate average goals scored by season and by country, or by the calendar year taken from the date column. Then sliding windows. Sliding windows allows you to create running calculations between any 2 points in a window using functions such as preceding, following, and current row. So you can calculate running counts, sums, averages, and other aggregate functions between any 2 points you specify in the dataset. At last, this is the certification which I have got after completing this course successfully. That was all from my side. Thank you.